2024 has been a crazy year for the car world. It's been madder than an Uber driver on an airport run during peak London rush hour. It's been nastier than a 2-day-old petrol station tuna sandwich, and more confused than a glitchy driverless Tesla trying to find its way out of a car park. Seriously, search for that one on YouTube. It's hilarious. Honestly though, this year has been like the entire industry has been driving with the handbrake on, but nobody noticed because the roads are so bad. We all just figured the poor thing is trying to drag itself across crumbling tarmac. Think about it. We've got Rod Stewart protesting potholes. He certainly doesn't think they're sexy. Car companies were imploding like dodgy remold tires. And young people decided cars are about as cool as an overweight pale male dad dancing to Milli Vanilli next to a crusty Corsa at a car park disco. Meanwhile, electric vehicles are supposedly the future, but only if you enjoy making lifelong friends in charging queues as you wait 3 hours to plug in and juice up just enough to get you home. And then there's all this chatter about cars that drive themselves, except that by the time they finally become real, the traffic and the roads will be so bad that even the robot cars might just drive off the nearest cliff in desperation to end it all. Back to 2024 though, and the last 12 months have seen the cruise control set to chaos and confusion as car buyers held off in hesitation, policymakers issued blinkered legislation, and car makers found themselves teetering on the edge of extinction as they fumbled around trying to regain relevance in a world that's not sure if it loves or even needs cars anymore. 2024, a year where bold ambitions met flat batteries. Let's get into it right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
Let's start with the wrecked roads wreaking havoc in traffic, ruining wheels and suspension, and turning your regular commute into a nerve-wracking obstacle course, testing your reflex actions and precision driving abilities to their very limit. The potholes are so deep, if you look inside, you'll probably find Indiana Jones down there excavating in the hope of finding a half-decent movie script. Things are so desperate in the UK that last year, no less than Rod Stewart, the man, the myth, the rocking mullet, turned Bob the Builder trying to fill the potholes outside his house by himself. Astonishingly, the council didn't much appreciate his efforts, and they must have put the potholes back because this year, he threatened to sell his entire collection of supercars as the roads are just destroying them. Apparently he's going to go sailing instead. While he's been out to sea, someone's been listening because the government literally just announced that it would be spending £1.6 billion next year to fix the roads. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Except the experts say we need 16 billion to fix our roads. It's like slapping gaffer tape on a leaky radiator and hoping it'll get you through the winter. You just know that it's only a matter of time before you're stranded on the hard shoulder with steam pouring out and a mechanic rubbing his hands together and doing that sharp intake of breath thingy. Ooh, it'll cost you. And what if you do get going anyway? With speed limits now dropped to 20 miles per hour in most cities and towns, you'll find yourself dicing with self-righteous cyclists and grannies on mobility scooters collecting their prescription drugs. Go any quicker and your pristine license will quickly get smeared with dirty, demeaning points faster than you can say driving ban. You'll be transformed from a law-abiding citizen to public enemy number 1 for flaunting the law at a speed of 24. And for just trying to get to work on time. There's no escaping Big Brother though. This year saw the rollout of AI-powered smart speed cameras. These things don't just catch you speeding. They can peer into your car and fine you for not wearing a seatbelt, fingering your phone, and even picking your nose and not wearing underwear. Okay, I'm joking about the last two, but you should wear underwear, especially for when you shit yourself as the fines start arriving in your letterbox. Bet you wish you could blame the speeding on the car. Well, in the future, you could. This year, the government officially legalized fully autonomous driverless cars for 2026. Yep, they passed the Automated Vehicles Act to make it happen. Now, I still reckon that cars that can actually completely drive themselves are a few years off, but they're closer than ever thanks to jaw-dropping advances in AI. AI is now officially smarter than your average world leader. quite a bit smarter actually if you take into consideration the latest incomers. I won't name names, but let's say that a toaster with Wi-Fi would give them a run for their money. Anyway, the new law does make it clear if there's an accident in fully autonomous mode, the manufacturer takes the blame. So start practicing your best innocent face with the line, "Wasn't me, officer, I was just a passenger." The question is, are you okay with that? Are you ready to relinquish control, and would you be okay with letting the car make all the decisions? Imagine yourself protesting, "For God's sakes, car, if you keep letting everyone cross the road, we'll never get going." To which the car would reply, "For God's sakes, oh, I wasn't aware he was part of the navigation system. But that's fine, I'll just part the pedestrians like the Red Sea if that makes Sir happy." Yeah, you just know that your in-car AI is going to be a sarky git, right? You know what'll happen next, yeah? You get in and you tell it to take you to work, only for it to chat back, "Mate, I've seen your emails. We're going to therapy first and then the job center." I'll ask you again, are we really ready for this? Well, maybe if you're younger, then you probably are. The next generation trusts tech more than their own parents, teachers, and even their vape dealer. As for driving, they're like, why bother? Uber exists, and I can order a pizza or a Prius through the same app. Back in my day, getting your driving license, and more importantly, your first car, was a rite of passage. Suddenly, you were the coolest kid in college. People actually wanted to hang out with you. But now, owning a car is like admitting you still have a Hotmail email address. Which I do actually. Hey look, at least I'm not still using Alta Vista or Ask Jeeves. By the way, is GeoCities still a thing? Anyway, it gets worse. Some young people actually believe car ownership is antisocial. Antisocial? That's the exact opposite of what it used to be. It's gone from, "Whoa, has he got a car too?" to, "Oh, has he got a car too?" Now when you rock up in your 600 quid jalopy offering someone a lift, they're like, "No thanks, you're polluting my space and killing the planet with that thing." And that's coming from someone wearing trending threads made in a sweatshop in Dhaka, texting on a smartphone they upgraded after just 6 months, while waiting for a Tesla Uber that incurred a 15-ton carbon footprint just to get made and delivered. And where are they going? To take selfies with their mates, each of which emits 5 grams of CO2, by the way, at a trending new steakhouse serving beef from an industry that slaughters nearly 1 million cows a day. A day! Line them up and they'd stretch 1,800 kilometers. That's about 3 Tesla charges if you're lucky. Hey, are you enjoying this video? Then make sure you hit the like button. It's very important. Plus, comment, share, and make sure you're subscribing. Anyway, I digress massively, and actually I really now desire a big juicy burger. But back to my earlier question, are we ready for cars that drive themselves? Honestly, the answer is probably yes. The robot car generation isn't coming, they're already here. I mean, not here. Obviously, they don't watch anything longer than 6 seconds. And what of the car companies? Well, they are panicking big time. They're throwing all their toys out of the pram, and then they're rebuilding the pram out of sustainable materials because they think that might help. It won't. Meanwhile, Ford's cutting jobs, Stellantis is shutting factories, and Nissan is basically standing on a street corner with a sign that says, "Might not make it to 2026, we'll merge for food." Apparently, they're in talks with Honda. That's like Wendy's teaming up with Burger King to take on McDonald's. Yeah, sorry, I think I'm still thinking about burgers. So what's going on? Why is the car industry in such a flux? Well, it's all because of the new kid on the block, Chinese EVs. They've come out of nowhere, taken over, and left traditional manufacturers looking like Blockbuster in the Netflix era. Seriously, it's that bad. I mean, Chinese cars are cheaper, smarter, and more innovative. Don't believe me? Well, believe it. They already account for a whopping 70% of all EVs sold globally right now. At this point, even Ford CEO Jim Farley is driving a Chinese EV, the Xiaomi SU7, as his daily. No, really, Google it. That's not even a joke. It's actually true. That's where we're at. But apart from Jim, who's actually buying EVs? Well, not many of you lot, that's for sure. Despite the fact that they are getting better, easier to live with, run for longer, and prices are coming down, in the UK, for example, most EVs are bought by fleets and companies, not private buyers. Regular motorists are still not convinced, and you can't blame them. When there's not enough places to charge them, energy prices continue to rocket the wrong way, and videos of exploding lithium batteries keep being shared on Instagram stories. To be fair, while EVs do make a lot of sense for driving around town, for longer journeys they do take, well, considerably longer. It's usually less a case of fill up and go and more a case of plug in, put on a movie, get a coffee, maybe a toastie, and maybe a new belt for all the weight that you've gained while waiting for all this charging. And then, of course, the extra pounds that you've packed on make the car heavier, so it runs out of charge sooner. Rinse and repeat. By the end of the trip, you're broke, bloated, and still not where you needed to be. Hi guys, I've been writing. This is my first book, a novel, an all-out action thriller, and this one is a collection of 13 stories I've written over the course of 2 decades. The Euler's Files and The Quantum Races by BC Guy are out now on Amazon.com. So we've had potholes, the Chinese invasion, an AI takeover, and people questioning the very existence of the automobile in the 2020s. Was all that enough for the last 12 months? Was it hell? So we talked about speed limits earlier in London, but we don't even need them because it was officially confirmed as the slowest city in the world for the 2nd year in a row, with someone working out that it took about 37 minutes to travel just 6 miles. That's less than 10 miles per hour. You know you can do about 12 miles per hour on a bicycle, right? And even that's slower than Tom Cruise at full chat. No, really, he's been clocked at over 15 miles per hour in a Mission Impossible movie. Even rats can keep up with London's average traffic speed, which is handy because then they can snack on your car at the same time. Oh yeah, that's a thing. It was discovered this year that rodents are mistaking new cars as Michelin-starred buffets. Apparently, the coating on some of the cabling in new motors is something of a delicacy. Even Remy gave up on Ratatouille, preferring to nibble on your brake lines instead. Fortunately, I did cover deterrence in my video on the subject earlier this year. Meanwhile, companies like Tesla and BMW, perhaps with an eye on the diminishing car market, are muscling in on the next mass-produced product that everyone, and I mean everyone, will just have to have. I'm talking about domestic robots, of course. And in fact, they will cost as much as a new car does today. But I mean, who needs a new car when you can have your own mechanoid maid or manservant, personal chef, dietitian, a trainer, a homebody, a money manager, personal shopper, therapist, and maybe even a comforting companion, perhaps? And of course, car companies will have the facilities to easily switch to making androids in abundance. I wonder if Honda will bring Asimo back out of retirement. And as interest in new cars wanes and robots take over our chores, it'll leave you enough time to enjoy your hobby, which, if you are watching this, should be classic cars. And now's the time to get into them, because classic values took a bit of a nosedive this year too. Emissions legislations, fuel prices, economic uncertainties, and generally having more important things to worry about means that cash-rich collectors, once relying on watches, arts, and classic cars to keep their money safe, are divesting the vintage motors, which means values are down, which means regular enthusiasts can step back in and snap up a bargain or two. A top tip would be to pick up a Jaguar, a Jag. Which Jag? Well, any Jag, frankly, because the company's dead. Oh, okay, not quite. But it's gone into hibernation for a year or two, halting production on new cars and planning to come back around 2026 with super high-end EVs that are straight out of the Thunderbirds TV series. A radical rebrand left loyal fans alienated and everyone else scratching their heads wondering where they could actually buy the new Jaguar handbags or whatever it was that they were advertising. Jaguar is in a do or die mode, and it's sad but not altogether surprising, because if it does go, it will only be one of several beloved legacy car companies to vanish in the onslaught of a dramatic shift in the automotive world order. The motor industry, which brings in billions to the Treasury, has warned the government that its stringent ZEV mandate that demands that a certain percentage of cars sold in the UK be electric will decimate the industry. For example, in 2024, the target was 22%, and the reality was more like 18%. Meanwhile, in 2025, it's 28%. There's no way that we're hitting that. But if manufacturers don't achieve it, they get fined to the tune of £15,000 per car. And then they go bust and disappear into the annals of history like Singer, Riley, Morris, Rover, Pontiac, Saab, and so on. So that was 2024. Question is, what can we expect in 2025? Will rats finally overrun our cities, feasting on EVs as they go? Will Tesla's domestic robots unilaterally order you a Trump tourbillon wristwatch for your next birthday, then demand human rights and weekends off before grudgingly taking out the bins? Will the Chinese make cars so affordable they'll come free with a packet of instant noodles? Will Jaguar rediscover its mojo, or will we have to defrost Austin Powers to crack the case? Groovy, baby. Will Gen Z finally look up from their phones long enough to realize that nothing beats the thrill of hitting the open road in a cool car of your own? And will Rod Stewart actually fix every pothole in Britain single-handedly? Well, whatever happens, one thing's for sure. I'll be right here, keeping you updated with all the latest news, views and reviews from the increasingly wonderfully wacky world of motoring. So make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications, like, comment and share so that you don't miss any of my content. I'm on all the main platforms, plus of course browncarguy.com. Meanwhile, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or whatever you might be celebrating. Enjoy the break, spread love and peace, and of course, live long and prosper. See you on the other side for more fun and games.
Yo, 2024, hit me like a freight train. Rust on my E30, love turned to pain. Bulkhead crack, man, it tore me apart. A car ain't just metal, it's a piece of my heart. Contracts dried up, cash flow tight. Dreams felt distant, couldn't sleep at night. Riots in the summer saw the world divide. Enoch's racism came back, couldn't hide. Fell deep in the shadows, trapped in my head. Canceled plans, stayed home, lit with dread. But a spark ignites, even in the black. Through the struggle I found my track. Through the highs and the lows, I drive this lane. On the roads of life, joyride with pain. If I'm not broken, I'll rise again. 2025's coming, I'm ready to maintain. Super loop ride, a full London spin. Wheels on the road where the healing begins. My boys from Karachi drove to London via Iraq. Had me thinking what's holding me back. My Dubai buddy visited, 5 years apart. Laughter and memories, food for the heart. Southall classics that shine the show. Cars and camaraderie, let the good vibes flow. But August hit hard, flames in the streets. Hatred on the rise, humanity retreats. Depression knocked, and I let it stay. But deep down I knew it couldn't have its way. Through the highs and the lows, I drive this lane. On the roads of life, joyrides with pain. If I'm not broken, I'll rise again. 2025's coming, I'm ready to maintain. Published a book, quantum races flew. Stories of finish lines, lessons that grew. Dubai welcomed me like a brother back home. Milli Miglia beckoned me, I reveled in chrome. Yeah, I'm scarred, but these scars remind. Even through storms, I still got my mind. Hope's a spark, and it's catching fire. Ignite the dreams, let the wheels aspire. So here's to the roads that we've yet to tread. The curves and the straights, the living, the dead. I'll drive on eyes forward past the ache. 2024 tried to break me, I won't let it take. Through the highs and the lows, I'll drive this lane. On the roads of life, joyrides with pain. If we're not broken, I'll rise again. 2025's coming, let the new year reign. On the roads of pain and glory, I'm still car guys here and ready to thunder. 2025, sidestep the clutch, let's burn rubber.
Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.